A very good evening and welcome to the Newsfirst newsroom here in Colombo. This is Weekend Prime Time News with me, Ramesh Rugal Bandar. As always, it's time for headlines.
Priority would be given to solving existing issues in the health sector, a statement from the President. State ministers and deputy ministers to be sworn in on Tuesday. Government and opposition members comment on the recent general election.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා මේ මැතිවරණයේදී තරඟ නොකර ත්‍රිපාල ජනාධිපතිතුමාත් එක්ක මේ මැතිවරණයේ මෙහෙවුවා නම් ආණ්ඩුවක් පිහිටවනවා.
මේ ඇමතිකම් කියනවා අද තියෙන්න පුළුවන් හෙට නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
මහින්ද්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්තයාට හිතන් කියපු කට්ටිය දොර කර ළඟ හිටන් ඉන්නවා ඇමතිකම ලබා ගන්න.
Political parties in Chennai outraged by the death of a Sri Lankan national at a police station in India.
On to our first story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena says that priority would be given to solving ongoing issues in the health sector.
The annual seminar of anaesthetists was held under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena at the Colombo National Hospital today.
නිදහස් සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා වගේම නිදහස් අධ්‍යාපනය මේ රටේ
We as a government will strive to provide the necessary human and physical resources to develop our free health service and free education in order to strengthen our nation. During my 5-year tenure as Health Minister, I became more aware and understood the challenges in the health sector. Therefore, it is with this knowledge that we as a government have focused our attention towards solving prevalent issues. It is also necessary to take external measures to conserve the environment by using new technology in order to address natural diseases and epidemics.
විවිධ ප්‍රශ්න මේවාටත් අපි බාහිරව පිළියම් බෙදීම ඉතාමත්ම අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා.
On to our developing story tonight. General Secretary of the United National Party, Minister Kabir Hashim, says that state and deputy ministers of the new government will be sworn in next Tuesday.
Parliament granted approval for the new government to consist of a maximum of 48 cabinet ministers, out of which 43 ministers were sworn in yesterday. 31 ministers were appointed from the United National Party, while 11 ministers were appointed from the United People's Freedom Alliance. It is reported that a further 4 members of the UPFA are to be sworn in as cabinet ministers, while a vacancy remains for a minister from the UNP.
I think there are 1 or 2 ministers who were not sworn in yesterday. For example, Malik Samar Vikrama was unable to take oaths yesterday. I believe that ministries will be allocated to those who were unable to attend the ceremony yesterday.
Meanwhile, 2 portfolios have been added to the cabinet this year. These include the ministries of National Dialogue, Social Empowerment, Digital Infrastructure, Primary Industries, Technology and Technological Education, and Megapolis Development. A maximum of 45 state and deputy ministers are yet to be sworn in.
I believe that the state and deputy ministers will be appointed on Tuesday.
The allocation of seats in Parliament will be done thereafter. At the inaugural sitting of Parliament, the Speaker announced that Parliament would officially recognise 6 political parties. Leader of the House, Minister Lakshman Kiriyala, stated that the necessary steps will be taken for this purpose.
The front row seats in Parliament will be allocated only for leaders from political parties that are recognized by Parliament. Accordingly, a front row seat will be allocated for the United People's Freedom Alliance. However, front row seats cannot be allocated for parties within the UPFA. Those seats are allocated only for recognized political parties. Thereafter, seats will be allocated based on seniority. This will be done following discussions between the Speaker, the Leader of the House and Opposition Leader.
Accordingly, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Mahajana Eksat Peramuna National Freedom Front, Pivitru Helu Urumaya, Sri Lanka Communist Party, Democratic Left Front, or Ceylon People's Congress, Ceylon Workers' Congress and other minor parties will not be considered as parties with leadership privileges. Parties that contest under an alliance and its leaders will also not receive party leadership privileges.
සන්දානයකින් තරඟ කරද්දී සන්දානයක සමාජිකයන් වෙන්නේ
When contesting from an alliance, individuals are not considered alliance members. Parties are considered alliance members. For example, individuals are members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, but members of the United People's Freedom Alliance are political parties. Therefore, throughout history, when party leaders contest an election from an alliance and are elected to parliament, it has been the tradition of the speaker to recognize the party leaders as party leaders. However, breaking the tradition, the current speaker has decided to recognize the alliance as a single party without recognizing the individual parties. The ulterior motive behind this decision is to restrict privileges for making special statements under Standing Order 23.
We also question whether the Pivituru Hello has signed an agreement with the UPFA.
If a political party has been active for a period of 1 year, then the election commissioner will acknowledge it as an accepted political party. My party was formed in December 2014. There is still time to regard it as an accepted political party.
Venerable Dr. Dambara Amilathera states that by not allowing a party like the Pivituru Hello which is not recognized as a party belonging to the alliance or as a member to be seated in front row seats is not regarded as deprivation of benefits.
There has been issues with regard to the allocation of seats in Parliament. One of the reasons is that prior to the appointment of the new Parliament, a wrong system which does not adhere to the law has been followed regarding the allocation of front row seats in Parliament. During the regime of Mahinda Rajapaksa, this was continuously violated and has thus become a norm. Parties such as the Pivituru Hello, who should not be seated in the front row of Parliament, took seats in the front row. Individuals such as Udaya Gamampila have no right to be seated in those seats and should take back row seats in Parliament.
In more local news, several newly appointed ministers commented on the appointment of cabinet ministers to Parliament.
Minister of Tourism and Christian Affairs John Amarathunga took part in an event held in Kandana today.
We are indeed disappointed. There was no issue regarding the manner in which the opposition leader was selected. Those who were in the alliance and seated in the opposition could not submit a name for the post of opposition leader. That is why the name which was suggested was selected. You cannot blame anyone. This means that the alliance which was divided could not reach consensus on the appointment of an opposition leader. Furthermore, there are those who charge that the best ministerial portfolios were given to MPs from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party or those from the alliance. I do not accept this. No matter what ministerial portfolios we obtain, we must work together as a government and as a team.
After engaging in religious observances in Kandy, Minister of Social Empowerment and Welfare S.B. Dissanayake expressed his views on the rifts existing in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
I believe that it is fair that the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is disappointed with the situation. We lost an election which we could have won if former President Mahinda Rajapaksa did not contest, and instead we joined hands with Maithripala Sirisena to steer the election campaign. If this took place, we would have been able to obtain a large number of votes with a large number of seats and create a government.
Journalists raised questions as to why he was given a ministerial portfolio when he lost the elections.
I am not someone who loses. It said that I went to homes of SLF peers and said that when I win, I will join the United National Party. That is why the party supporters did not vote for me. I cannot blame them. However, those who said I will join the UMP have won at the election. After claiming victory, they are now asking the UMP whether they could join the national government. They even gave letters, but they were not given portfolios.
Speaking at an event in Ambalanthoda, Minister of Parliament Reforms and Media Gayantha Karunathilaka spoke on the dangers in certain appointments.
I obtained 150,000 votes with a very minimum budget. I would like to remind you all that these are votes of the people. These ministerial portfolios are something you would get today and you will lose tomorrow. One must understand this. Most people think these appointments are permanent. That is why individuals who are seated in high-level positions are not doing anything. These are good lessons.
Leader of the Janasita Perumal, Venerable Batramulle Silaratanathero, spoke on the awarding of ministerial portfolios at an event held in Galle today.
Leader of the People's National United Front for Good Governance, Susil Kindalpitiya, attended an event in Mahamodara in Galle.
එදා මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්තයාට හිතන් කියපු කට්ටිය අද මොකද කරන්නේ? එයා ළඟ දොර කර ළඟ හිතන් ඉන්නවා ඇමතිකම ලබා ගන්න. හිතන් කියපුවාට ඇමතිකම් ලැබෙනවා. සමහර වෙලාවට අපි හිතනවා සියල්ල හරියයි කියලා.
Sometimes we think that everything will be all right. No, that will not happen. We are still searching for leaders in the country. The leaders we are looking for have not arrived yet. We thought that the SLFP and the UMP would become the ruling party and the opposition. But the Tamil National Alliance have come from the north and have become the opposition. That is good. At the event, nutritional packs were distributed among pregnant mothers in the area.
Chatrika Sirisena, daughter of President Maithripala Sirisena, inquired into the well-being of the residents of the Mahavalithan area in Velikanda, Polonnaru.
Chatrika Sirisena, who arrived at the Mahavalitana village in Velikanda, met with villagers at the Mahavalitana temple. A number of government officials were present at the occasion.
First, there is a major water problem. Second is that we don't have houses. Since we don't have houses, we cannot bring our children here. We cannot even ask for a school to be constructed. How can we live here without houses?
We will provide solutions to your problems expeditiously. We are not here with these government officials for publicity. The dream of the President is to provide solutions to the issues faced by the public. So I believe that in the future, the President will provide a solution to the water problem and a permanent solution to the other problems. That is the message that I carry from village to village. I believe that the new President will provide solutions and will realize your dreams through the new government in this new era.
In more local news, the ceremonial inauguration of the edX Media Expo 2015, titled Education Exhibition and Job Fair, was held at the SLECC today.
The event was held under the auspices of the Minister of Resettlement and Rehabilitation, D.M. Swaminathan.
The President of Sri Lanka, the Honorable Prime Minister of this country, is very keen that whatever is mentioned or given in paper is enforced within the short period of time that we have been given. I think to fulfill this obligation within the period of first 1.5 years, we have to show the public that we have done it and that we are capable enough to do so. It is our duty that we have to build this society, build this country. In the north too, we need to open up a lot of rehabilitation, in the sense to rehabilitate first and then we have to resettle them.
On to one of our headline stories tonight. A conflicting situation has arisen with reports surfacing on the death of a Sri Lankan national inside a police station in Chennai, India.
The Sri Lankan national named Mohan was a father of two and a resident of the Madhavakam area in India. The Sri Lankan national was summoned to the Palikarne police station in India over charges of forging passports. Subsequent being interrogated by the police, the suspect was admitted to hospital after being taken ill, according to Indian police officials. However, political parties and activists who were outraged by the incident note that the Sri Lankan national had died upon admission to the hospital. For more details on this incident, Newsfirst spoke to the media unit of the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka. The commission stated that they cannot comment on the incident.
The 10th day of the archaeological and human scientific project took place in the city of Polonnaru today. The archaeologists involved in this project stated that these excavations have uncovered many historical evidences.
Archaeologists have been able to excavate the ancient foundation of Area 2 of the Shiva temple. Archaeologists state that they were also able to excavate the ancient foundation of another temple which is believed to have a history that is ancient than that of the Shiva temple. In addition, several fragments of clay pots and tires were also unearthed through this excavation.
So one of the aims we have in this research is actually to try and identify how long is the sequence here. And it's also important to note that very few temples have been excavated in South India dating of this period. So this is about the first time we have the opportunity of looking at the artifacts. We know this is an important site. plenty of roof tile, but also there is pottery imported from the Middle East, there's pottery imported from China. So the people who lived here were able to have access to international networks of power.
The aim of this 5-year excavation project is to resurface the ancient history of Polonnaruwa. Information about the ancient town and the lives of the ancient citizens will be revealed as a result of this excavation.
We need to extend our excavations in this area. We hope to extend the first stage of excavation, which is currently underway, to the next year as well. By doing so, we will be able to find the reasons for the downfall of ancient cities and the reason for the creation of new cities on a broader level. Because currently the only source of information about these incidents are the ancient chronicles.
A person died following a shootout in the Sella Kataragama area last night.
According to the police, a heated argument during a function had led to the shooting last night. The deceased, aged 52, is a bachelor and a resident of Sella Kataragama. Police say 4 suspects have been taken into custody.
Now information has come to light about a Sri Lankan woman who was trapped in a house in Saudi Arabia for 8 months.
46-year-old mother of 3 S. Vasantiyappa, a resident of Kaluthuwava, was locked up in a cell located at this mansion in Saudi Arabia. It's said that she suffers with a paralyzed hand as a result of assaults.
They harass, beat her and they lock her up in a room without food or water. All I'm asking for is to bring my daughter back to me.
She couldn't bear the harassment anymore, so she filed a complaint with the police against her employers. But it was the police who reassigned her to work in the same place.
My mother left on the 27th of February. She's being harassed and locked up in a room without any food. We went to the Foreign Office there, but they do not tell us anything. Now we have handed over all relevant documents to the minister as well.
Since officials failed to provide the victim's children with a definite answer, and with hopes fading, they are now seeking solace from the gods.
The Department of Meteorology states that rainy weather conditions will persist in the island tomorrow as well. Newsfirst received reports of floods in several areas across the island yesterday and the day before, while one person was reported dead after being struck by lightning.
A resident from Rajalagama in Hingurangoda was killed in a lightning strike last evening. The incident occurred when the victim, 29-year-old SL Anil Kumara, was out fishing in the Girithale tank. He was a father of 2. Water levels of the Ransaigoda and Makadur area is in Mathura, which inundated owing to the Kirime Oya breaking its banks, is receding. However, areas of Sapagoda, Godapa, Mapalana and Akurugoda were inundated owing to heavy rains experienced in the area. Crops too were damaged as a result of the inclement weather condition. We were not even able to reap our harvest. Even the newly constructed roads are inundated. We have been severely inconvenienced. Authorities say that these areas will be cleared. However, although the money is obtained from the government, the cleanup has not taken place.
Tonight on News First, we have an interesting story about a wildlife office located in the Mahava Divisional Secretariat area that turns away residents who seek assistance in chasing wild elephants wreaking havoc in their villages.
The villagers of the Ihalagama and Iribisava areas made a phone call to the relevant wildlife office requesting officials to save them from a herd of about 50 elephants who have strayed into their villages.
Hello, government Oh. මේ අපි ඉරිබිස්සෙන් කතා කරන්නේ දැන් මේ ගෙවල් ළඟම අලි ඉන්නවා මේ උන්ට මේ වෙඩි ගැහුවටවත් යන්නේ නැහනේ. කොහෙද? ඉරිබිස්සාව. ඉරිබිස්සාව. දැන් අපි යන්නේ මහව. ඔයාලා මේ තනිදලත් මෙහෙ ඉන්නේ. ඒක දැන් හරක් 4 දෙනෙක් මරලා මේ. රෑ 4ට හරක් 4 දෙනෙක් මැරුවා. ඔයාගේ නම මොකද්ද? මගේ නම ජනක.
The elephants who were roaming in the villages for a long period of time have caused damage to crops. An individual, in an attempt to save himself from a possible elephant attack, had to stay overnight on top of a tamarind tree.
When we spoke to the wildlife officers, they said that they do not have enough fuel in their vehicles to come here.
We do not have anything to say. The gods too do not have any pity on us. I was sleeping over there. I suddenly heard a loud noise. The elephant then extended his trunk and grabbed the mosquito net. The distressed villagers who had no other assistance called the Mahava Wildlife Office for the second time this morning.
Hello, sir. ඉදිරිපිට කෙරවලේ ගෙදරින් කතා කරන්නේ සර් තව ටිකෙන් ඊයේ මම මරනවා එකපාරක් නම් අලියා ගහලා බේරුණා
අපි එදා ආපු ගෙදරද
ඔව් ඔව්
මේ අපිට අලියෙක් මැරිලා ඉන්නවා දැන් එතෙන්ට යන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ඒකයි වැඩේ අලි පිටිවත් නැද්ද ගෙදර
අනේ සර් මුකුත් නැහැ
ඒකින වැඩේ අප්පා මේ අපි එන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් ඔය පැත්තට ඇවිල්ලා එන්නම්
The wildlife officials are saying that they cannot provide crackers to even chase away the elephants. Because of such incidents, the day-to-day lives of the people are filled with hardship.
When we contacted a wildlife official of the Mahava Wildlife Office in this regard, he said that they had not received such a call last night.
පියර රාජකාරියෙක් හිටියේ ඊයේ. ඉතින් ඒ සම්බන්ධව මුකුත් දන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද පණිවිඩය ආවේ නම් අද.
With some cricket, tennis and Formula 1 news, this is the Newsfirst Sports Roundup.
All-rounder Jason Holt has been appointed captain of the West Indies Test cricket team for their Test series against Sri Lanka in October. The two countries will play 2 Tests, 3 ODIs and 2 T20s. A 15-member West Indies Test squad has also been named.
And that's a wrap of Weekend Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara. Good night.